Oh, you had your records were being distributed by Ross at that point, right?
Right.
So you're torn. Oh, you want to film? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Youth man calling me again. Yeah, man. Yeah. What you want?
Yeah. At the same time, you're touring what, the U.S. or are you touring overseas too?
Overseas and US and overseas because it was once again um, doing work with um, Bad Brains, HR of the Bad Brains, um, Mikey Dread, Itals, Joseph Hill of Culture.
Yeah.
Did some was touring there. So you know, but these are moving up into different time periods, but still working and still recording at the same time. Um, you know, so by then music was on a certain level, and we're hearing different things and coming off the road of different ideas, and at the same time, at times we would kind of break off and work with different people, tour with different people.
Mm-hmm.
So Maccabee was on tour with a crew out in California called the Rastafarians,
Mm-hmm.
with Maskell and um, that crew out there, the Rastafarians. Um, how again? Played with a whole slew of people out in California at the time.
Now, did you play during this period? Were you playing as sort of like a session musician on other people's albums too?
We were doing, yeah, we did some stuff. I mean, I remember doing some stuff here on Foxy Brown's
I
album.
remember calling you up. I needed a guitar track.
Yeah.
And so I called English, and he came over and played guitar.
Yeah, guitar on it,
Right.
man. No flicker things. Quiet War with Les. Play some piano and there. A lot of different stuff. I can't even remember some
Right.
stuff that. Oh, Don Carlos album. Play on Don Carlos album. Which one was that?
Is it 7 days a week?
7 days a week.
Some of the tracks, you're on
Yes,
some of those tracks?
yeah, on some of those tracks there.
Gold brought you in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, something else. Goal is the next one too. I tell you, man.
Talk about Gold for a minute, because we talked about him when I was here doing your interview, and you had told me that what happened when he passed. But talk about Gold for a minute, because he doesn't get a lot of talk. Don gets a lot of the talk, but Gold was a character to himself, right?
Goal is like the Maccabee to me. Don Don is a man where
The wise man, right?
yes, him just kind of easy and laid back, and Goal is the man where yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, it give Don his props, because you know that really Don is carrying the driving the force. But Don is just a laid back, easy kind of guy, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And him say, all right, go through and do your thing. But Gold, used to keep some harmony, keep some good harmony with Don and everything like
Mm-hmm.
that, and you know,
But he'd also organize some of the rhythm tracks that Don would eventually use.
right,
Like for instance, 7 days a week. I think there was several tracks
he
that
organized.
Gold came in with other musicians, got rhythms done, and then later Don came in and
He would lay the footwork. He would
yeah,
lay the
right,
foundation
right.
and say, okay, Don, and let's write to these, So,
Mm-hmm.
goal always, you know, it, it, I don't think one person can do the whole thing. What makes the combination is that one individual has his role to play, and the next
Mm-hmm.
person has his role to play, and they all come with ideas and then combine them and then says, yeah, we found the formula
Yeah.
that gives us this particular sound, and that's really what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I look at, say for instance, a drum and bass team where you have Carlton Barrett and Family Man, you have Sly and Robbie, and even though they would go off and play with different people, you know, there's a distinct sound. If you hear a Carlton Barrett roll,
Oh yeah.
that's been sampled so much time,
Right.
you know it's Carlton Barrett. And even if he's playing with a different player, you know it's Carlton Barrett. But then there's a certain texture and sound that the two of them have together. Sly and Robbie, Carlton Bart, you have Fully Fullwood and Santa Davis and different teams like that.
Mhm.
Where they have a certain sound. So that's the same thing with Goal and in terms of vocals and arrangement for Strun. Goal and Don Carlos, myself and Maccabee and different units of teams. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. Now talk a bit about the connection you have with Bad Brains. Obviously, Bad Brains in this area is, I mean, Bad Brains is just a legendary band. Period. I mean, just they really were a unique band. I mean, the first of its kind. So many people influenced by it, from Nirvana to Fugazi to Henry Rollins to Black Flag. They were such a pivotal band. How did you get to hook up with those guys?
HR, once again, being in the music scene, the Adams Morgan area was once again another good area where musicians congregate and would meet. Once again, just in passing, would pass each other and know of each other playing and stuff. And H would come in and say, um, it's just like you branch off now and say you want to do a little solo album or something like that, because sometimes the Brains will be playing and then they take a little hiatus, and Joseph is a man where constantly working, constantly got to be doing something. So him say, all right, build an album, and we got together and just sparsing, and then we did the Charge album, and from there he formed a human rights band, and we just toured on that. Myself, Earl, and Joseph, Randy Choice, Al Anderson, who else again?
Randy Choice.
Yes.
Nice.
He called me the other day to order the blue.
Ah.
Randy just called me out of the blue. But yeah, man, I mean, just different musicians. Randy used to play with Stacey Ladisor, cause she's Johnny Gill, who's from this area, I mean, I would say that at the time, Washington, and it still is, it's another generation of youth still, but talent, man.
Yeah.
Talent here, man. Once again, I always heard that, if you want to make it, New York, LA, it's just like that, because Washington is more of a political town. It's not a town for entertainment. So you would find that, I don't know if they were just hiding out here or what, but talent was here, man.
Yeah.
Talent is in Washington. It's just getting them to break out, and every once in a while, like you would have Chuck would rock out. Speaking of which, Chuck is on the
He was in here a bunch too.
yeah, Chuck is on the Shango Charisma album.
Really, he is.
Right, it is.
Now see that's like a golden nugget right there that I would have to include in there in the feature.
Yeah, man, Chuck brought is on the album, man. Listen to da 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 da. Jah will never get a power to a wicked man, wicked man. Grab the hand of a righteous one. And Chuck Brown come in. And him also playing some guitar on there too.
Oh yeah?
Yes, man. Man,
Wow.
that's how, what I look at is that musicians, when they get in the right vicinity, man, when it's all good, man.
Right.
It's all good. It's on, man.
Yeah,
so.
you just have a connection with them.
Yeah, man.
So what happened? There was there comes a point where you guys are working less with Fox, and what Maccabee. I don't know the history of Maccabee, but I know that he passed away at some point. So what is the timeline like on that? What happened? I mean, what happened over, say, from like, what would you say, like 88 to or 90 to?
I would say
like
that at the end of the 90s, where once again now the music is making another switch, and the whole distribution game of music, the whole recording game of music is totally different, because I remember we would run into these cats now who would have home studios. When the Pro Tools came in and everything,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they said, man, everybody and their grandmother had a studio. So, you know, all of a sudden, people were like, come over here and check out our studio and put a track on this. And it was um, like a clique then, put it that way, where they would have a crew and each man would write a part for a song and they would say, Englishman, we need some reggae in it, and it could be hip hop, it could be, you know, and so put in some reggae something in there, and that's all he'll be doing, just going bouncing from different places and less playing but more vocal kind of thing. Every once in a while you get to put down a bass line or something like that, or but a lot of it was sampled music and stuff like that. They was doing that, so you know, the bigger studios now, it was like that's where you find that it was kind of phasing out the bigger studios because you know, all these smaller home studios, everybody had Pro Tools, so you know. So from there, you know, it was less recording, and then seems like, you know, Maka was like, where's the music going, you know, and it was like had other priorities, and you know, zeroing in on family and stuff like that, and then you know, just kind of tragic accident and stuff like that, you know. So you know, from there was like back to the solo thing again, man.
So when that happened, that's when you said you're gonna stay with the music and do the solo thing. I mean, music is your life at this point, right?
Music, yeah,
that's
what
you
we
do.
do, you know, and so it was revamping the band and just moving forward from there, you know, get the occasional calls for now, you now to be on the road. And sometimes they would say, all right, well, we can't afford the band, so you know what's going to happen? All right, if you're going to come out to LA, we have a crew out there. They've learned the material. We just fly you out, and you just work with the crew out there. And that's basically what was happening now, because once again the budget is kind of restricted, the entertainment, you know, business is kind of swiggling down and everything like that, so people find other ways to keep it running. So instead of bringing the whole crew out there and the whole entourage, hotel, this and that, and they just say, fly you out, you know, we have a band. You go to Japan, fly you out, have a band. Wherever you're gonna go, you know. So, and that's how it, for me, how it's been working. You know.
Now that also brings up you know, another issue: the internet and these home studios. You know, the music's being marketed different. It's being sold different. Everything is digital. It's
Upload,
MP3.
download, yes.
So you've got all your albums at that point on vinyl and CD. You know, is there a way for you to get distribution still with your music? I mean,
Man, I'm glad you mentioned that.
because it's difficult to find Englishman stuff out there.
It's very difficult, and I tell you why it's difficult. One, transferring all of that material. You know, if you still have the masters, which some of them are good, but you know, you know, things decay after a while. You know, even the tape that we brought in there to do some stuff, you know, oxide on the back of the tapes decay. You know, you may still have the ADATs that you've done them on if you put them away pretty good. But saying this and saying that in terms of transferring is one thing. But I remember Barrington Levy being in Europe, and they're saying the same thing to him, saying, "Yo, man, uh, why you ain't put out a new album, man?" First of all, he has material to last him for years. He could tour for years on the material that he has. Well, you know, people, artists, you know, fans want new stuff. They want a little something new. He said he got an album sitting down there that he had done with a slew of different artists, you know, that appear on the album, that he spent big money on in a big studio doing. But the reason why you don't put it out is that, once again, if you don't put it out correctly, people can just take it off of the internet, distribute it, put it there, and you don't see a penny off of it. You understand?
Yeah.
Because it's a digital thing. So right now, I can go to my yard and pull out a hard drive, and I have a slew of music,
Right.
music for days. But where you gonna put it out? If you don't put it out in the right network and secure your things, I'm just gone with that stuff.
You know, they had, have you talked with any, or they have you talked with any of these they have these labels now that reissue reggae stuff. I mean, reissue vintage, you know, because vinyl is back in a big way. And there's a label out of New York who I deal with a lot called Deeper Knowledge Digikiller.
Mm.
They just released something for Hyman Wright, Jalife. It's a scientist album. It's the dub tracks from Flick Wilson's School Days album. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they just put that out, and they've been releasing 45s of like old bullwacky stuff.
Yeah, man.
You know,
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
you know, have you thought about talking to one? I mean, because this album right here, I mean, that's gold. I mean, people want that. People want this music. I mean, have you ever thought about doing that?
Well, I need to get in. I kind of got away from it, but that's something that I need to get into.
Yeah.
In terms of, and I think more so because I'm so stuck into what is happening now in terms of the digital medium and everything, and producing stuff for the digital medium. But I really need to revisit, the older albums, dig up the tape, brush them off, dust off of them, and see if I can contact some of those people
Yeah.
and get that going. So if you have any other contacts, just
Yeah,
send them
yeah,
to me.
definitely. I mean, I promote a lot of their stuff on my website, and I talk to them. They send me stuff to review and stuff like that. So, I mean, this is something that is right up their alley, you know.
Give
Um,
thanks.
so currently, let's say within, since say 2000, 2005, you've been playing music. Have you been recording music?
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much recording and everything.
Have you produced any music for different artists around?
Did some producing and stuff. I mean, it escapes me right now, but still producing. Um, Not as much as I would like to,
Hmm.
because once again, you can produce the music, but
What you gonna do
artists
with
have,
it?
yeah, what they're gonna do with it, and so I think a lot of the artists now are concentrating more on live performances, and if they can mass produce their CDs or something like that,
Right.
they kind of sell them to the audience right then and there, and they see the gains, right immediately right there, So
Hmm.
um, that's one of the ways that they are approaching it now, because, like I said, if you don't set up the digital thing right, the downloads and uploads or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell you, anything that's released digitally or through, it's mostly it's stuff that's released digitally or some through CD. I mean, it's on the internet weeks before the official release comes out. It's like uh, this this new album that Ziggy Marley put out. It has Uroy on it, and it was a people were excited about it. The album's terrible though. It's like people were excited about this album, but because they thought it was a return to maybe an earlier sound. But and when I had an interview with him Monday, and he said, the album was online. People had this album two weeks before it was released. He said, we kept this thing under lock and key. The only way it could have gotten out is if somebody in my
In the
shop.
stuff, yeah.
So that's the kind of problem you're having. These people sell it off
Yeah.
to one person,
And
and then it's everywhere.
yeah, yeah,
You know.
yeah. So I mean, that's
Burning Spear won't even release an album now.
that's the whole. I mean, even before I heard Barrington Levy said that, that was my mindset.
Right.
And now here it is. Now I told you about what Barrington Levy said, and now you tell me about Burning Spear. So it's kind of hard when you put in a lot of money into getting the musicians to play, paying the studio
Yeah.
thing, you know, artwork, mastering and everything like that, finishing, mixing and everything. And then all of a sudden to just put it out and somebody like, I'm gone with it. I mean, so, and then you know, he was saying that, look, there's some people that making music off of their laptop.
Oh yeah, most of the stuff coming out of well, now I wouldn't say most of it, but a lot of the stuff coming out of Jamaica now is you know, Augustus Pablo's
Yes,
son.
son.
He just released an album. He's got this outfit called Sons of Dub, you know, and most of the stuff they had put out prior to this album, which they recorded in Europe, was all done on a laptop, and it sounds good. I mean, it was decent sounding music, you know. But you know, there's just these producers that all they have is a computer and a few you know, programs, and they're putting out music.
You know what that boils down to?
The Japanese, they own that. I mean, that's what the Japanese do. You know,
You
these
know
Japanese dub producers.
You know why I laugh? 'Cause everything come full circle, but in a digital vein. Because when you check it out, when they had Studio One and it was just 2 track, or 1 track, before it went to 2 track, before it went to 4 track, then 8 track, then 16 track. You know, people used the means that they had to make. If you have that energy to make music, you understand, and it's like, I want to record. How can I get this done? I want a microphone. I want to. Well, I got one to bounce that track. Okay, bounce that track. You know what I'm saying? I said, okay. I hear 2 vocals. I hear the guitar. I hear this and that. And okay, so we got the whole band. Bounce the track again.
Yeah.
Now it's like digital. There ain't no bouncing in it, but we ain't got the money to do it big wise. But we have a little computer. Let's make it work.
But
That's what
like you were saying earlier, you know, you know, it doesn't have the same feel. It doesn't sound authentic. You know, it doesn't sound as heavy. People are buying it.
Yeah.
But for example, this group that he's been working with for years, Groundation. They work with you because you were still using the analog system, right? The analog tape.
They love the process of starting with the tape.
So people, and these are serious, you know, Groundation's serious musicians. I mean, serious reggae musicians. And so the people that are really making the meaningful music are it seems like they're going back to that foundation sound, you know. And this right here, this vinyl's bigger than ever right now.
I remember, you know, everything as a starting point, it's gonna move and then it's gonna come forward, you know. And I remember when they had these sound systems challenging each other. That time it was the tube amps, they had the transistor. Man, and when you hear the transistor amp start clean, but light.
Yeah.
And when you hear the man put on the needle on the tube amp, and you
that's why Josh Shaka, you know, Josh Shaka will never ever get old, you know. People will always pack a Josh Shaka show because that sound is so heavy and they know what to expect.
Yes, man.
So you can't recreate, you can't duplicate that. You can't copy that.
And I think that's what really kind of give reggae
Yeah.
The tube, the warm sound and everything like that. You know what I mean? And coming back to the sound of even with the drum machine, using the drum machine, it was like, boy, that kick drum off, it sound like the real kick drum. You see Fox like that, fattening it up, you know, and make it sound. And once again, that's why I give Steely and Cleaver their props, man. You know, them man, when they was doing it, when my boy studio where they work out slip me soon come back to me. But
you know, speaking of Steely, you know, I didn't know. I did a lot of research for 2 years. I spent 2 years researching Hugh Mundell. And just writing about Hugh Mundell because there wasn't that much information out there on him, you know. And so what I found out was that Steely and Cleavy played on the track Africa Must Be Free by 1983. They were like 12, 13 years old.
Yes, man.
I mean, that's prodigy. They're prodigies, you know. And when I interviewed Flabba Holt, he helped set this interview up. He interviewed Flabba Holt here in D.C. and he told me the story about the first day Steely used to come down, hang around the studio. A little dirty kid. He said kid didn't have no shoes, you know.
Yes, man.
And he said that kid just wanted to play on just wanted to play on the keys, one track, just wanted to rehearse one track. And Winston Wright threw a fit. He said, you ain't gonna let this kid play on my track. You ain't gonna play on my track. So Flabba said he's never gonna play with Winston Wright again. And he kind of took Steely under his wing. And Steely was with the Roots Radics for up through until Bunny Wailer ran him off,
Right,
and that's when he said, it was kind of weird because Flabba Holt, the Roots Radics, and Channel One, they had they transitioned the music, right? It was a new sound after Bob Marley passed, and the
Styles Scott and Flabba.
Yeah,
That's
transition.
That's the next unit. That's sorry not for cutting, but that's another unit. Just like the Family Man, I even forget to call them name, but I big them up same way. Just like the Family Man and Carlton Bart, the Sly and Robbie, Styles Scott and Flabba Holt.
Right, yeah.
Trust me, man. Coming back to where he's talking about the sound and everything. Them man, they have their own sound, man.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Styles Scott. Man.
We were before you got here. We were talking about that. How that Channel One, Junjo, and there was that 3 or 4 years there where it just melded perfectly, man. And when I talked to scientists a couple of years ago about, he did say you'll never be able to recreate that sound.
Right.
You just never be able to do it the way that it was done in that 3-4 year period.
Right timing, right chemistry, right musician, right engineer, right
once.
room.
Right. That's
even
what he
the
said.
room.
He said the buildings here you won't make that sound.
Yeah, but once again, a lot of just like in most experiments, a lot of things happens by chance still sometimes.
Right.
I mean, some of it is very calculated, but some of it is chance by a man might just have a bass up there and he was passing and he happened to bounce the bass amp a little bit right this and it angled at a certain way and then the sound reflects off the wall and he put a microphone there and yeah man, you can't get the bass register nowhere. I mean, a man might kick an amplifier and you and a man say, oh yeah, that's wicked reverb, do it again in a tune. Kick the reverb. Some stuff that just happen in the music. Even the bleeding of different amps and certain things in a room. The Leslie of a organ spinning and the wind from there might be. It's very, you can't hear it so distinctly, but it's in the music.
Yeah.
That's why I come back now to Lee Scratch Perry.
Yeah. He just released a brand new double album that I reviewed, and it's the heaviest album I've heard from Perry in forever, and it's called Back at the Controls because he actually did the mix. Yeah, and he used the same controls that they used in the Black Art. They found these vintage, not the same exact ones, but the vintage units that they had, and it's really amazing. When he sings or chants, you don't know where he's going, but his sound that's another one, a distinct sound that you'll never be able to recreate,
And once again, a lot of it is calculated in his mindset. But a lot of it is like, well, fuck it, man. It's like let it flow. A chicken might just come and flutter around the microphone and say, oh yes. He caught it on tape.
Yeah.
A goat might come,
Right.
and you just catch it on tape and some man, I mean, ingenious stuff, man.
Right.
I mean, and you have to kind of be part sane and part cuckoo for those things to happen still, you want this genius walk a thin line still between being mad and being sane, but I do believe even Lee Scratch Perry, he's calculated in what he's doing. but
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of
You know, the fact that he's still, you know, he's still making relevant music at, how old is he now? 70s,
yeah,
80s?
man.
He's still making relevant music that people will go by. The guy who does his he's the DJ that tours with him now. It's, Subatomic Sound System out of New
Okay.
York. He says he's like, you know, he said, I said, what's it like working with him, man? He's like, you know what, man? He's a lot more together than you think he would be. You know, he doesn't want to deal with people, so he puts off that. You know, in the interviews and stuff, he would come off as crazy as shit, right? But he said a lot of it is kind of an act, you know, because he just wants to keep people at a distance.
That's
And
right.
and create this persona for himself.
Yeah, man, yeah, man.
But I mean, the guy's he's the biggest thing that to me. I mean, the biggest thing to ever come out of reggae. I mean, to ever influence reggae, you know.
Yeah, man. You know that the man the tentacles stretch far, you know, because you know you when you think about writing tunes like Double Conqueror for Bob Marley and certain little things, man, and way back, what do you have in there?
Oh, the heptones, the
Heptone,
congos. I mean,
congos, and police and thief in the
oh,
street.
Junior Marvin, yeah.
all,
George Faith. I
all
mean,
of them. Come on, man. Come on, man.
Max
are-
Romeo. I mean, forget about it. The list is endless. The list is endless.
And once again, if you compartmentalize it, you know, if you put them in compartments, you know, every studio having his crew of people and have a set of musicians will come out, you know, like you would have the Tristan Palmers and the Liquor John and you know, that kind of category. You have certain people will come from the Waterhouse crew, the Junior Reed and the Don Carls.
Yeah. It was
You know,
always.
so and
You could almost put it in a nice little box.
yes,
Yeah.
and everyone has their sound. Even like right now, even with the Chronics. Chronics has theme sound and, you know, a slew of different artists. They have a distinct sound like him, but it's different, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I mean, for each time.
The Virgin Islands, crew, who Fox has worked with,
Okay.
they have a distinct sound. Midnight,
Yeah.
the one, the
Bamboo Station.
Bamboo Station.
Bamboo Station, right.
Bus Pipe, whatever they
Oh, Pressure Bus Pipe.
Bus
Yeah.
Pipe. You know, all of them man they have. It's a and it's like a regional sound that after a while, once them start grate him up, man, and polish him up, and it gets its own, and they all get their own little sound. Even all right, coming back to that, look at go-go music in DC.
Yeah.
That's a very distinct sound.
Oh yeah.
Very distinct sound, and it's from this region. A lot of people say, "Oh, that's not their playing, man," but it have its own. You know, every region, every music, whether it be jazz, whether it be pop, whether it be hip hop, whether it be soul, has a certain sound, man. You know, the Motown sound. You know what I mean? Every region have a sound, and once again, it takes an engineer, then the musicians, all to say, "Oh, this is the wavelength that we are. Oh, you like this? I like that. This, come with this, come with that, come, and let's make it work." And then they just fuse a sound, and bam, it could be for 10 years. That's the sound. Sound of Philadelphia.